Welcome back to the Homeschool Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Bex Buzzy. Today's guest is Tammy. She is the founder of Create a Homeschool Life. She found that homeschool, it was actually more natural than what she thought. And understand that human nature is to overcomplicate things. She soon realized that this area was not immune to that perception. Letting go of preconceived notions of what she thought homeschooling was allowed her to find a rhythm that worked for her family. And thus was born Create a Homeschool Life. Create a Homeschool Life is to encourage families by providing strategies to plan and equip with resources. And all the content on Create a Homeschool Life is free, at least for now it is. One thing Tammy wants is to help parents truly understand is that God has a good plan and He is not at all surprised by anything our children face. So in this episode, we talk about how homeschool is worth it. Yes, it is a faith walk that is sometimes messy and confusing. And yes, it will require a lot of hard work. But is it worth it? The answer again is yes. Also, how most people don't realize the numerous options that are available to homeschoolers and the freedom and peace that can be theirs when they choose to break free from what others think schools should be and follow what's best for their family. And lastly, how she just wants to be a voice of encouragement, especially to new homeschooling moms. So go grab your coffee, go grab your tea, and a pen and paper, because you're not going to want to miss what Tammy has to say. Let's get into the podcast. Say hello to our guests and tell us, what is a fun fact about your industry that will really surprise our listeners?
Yes. Hello. Hi, I'm Tammy. And yes, a fun fact I thought about when you asked me that. I think the funnest thing to me about homeschooling is how many options there are for homeschoolers. When I first began homeschooling, I thought I had to do everything that I had been doing because I was a teacher before I was a homeschooler. And I tried to bring my classroom into my kindergarten at home with a little desk and a chalkboard and all the different things. And I realized very fast that there's so many other things that you can do besides that. And it just really brings life to homeschooling. It's just all the different things that you have at your disposal. Yeah. So
totally. I totally agree with you. I realize that, the homeschooling community has so many resources out there, and just being able to be comfortable with your resources and understand how it fits to your family. And
yes.
just being able to navigate those waters, sometimes it could feel a little overwhelming, especially if you came from a traditional school like
Yes.
you did. You automatically think, you probably went to a traditional school, started
Yep.
teaching in a traditional school.
Yep.
Then you come home and you're like, well, this is what it's supposed to be,
Yep.
and that freedom to be able to educate your child alternatively almost seems so far away and like, what? I can do that? Oh my gosh,
Right.
So I love the fact that you just you went for it. You plowed through it, and now look at where you're at now. So are you still homeschooling? Are you finished with homeschooling? Like, what are you doing now, Tammy?
I'm nearing the end. Like I said, I know, right? I started all the way back in 2006. I was doing the numbers again this morning, and I graduated my first a couple of years ago. I'm getting ready to graduate my second this year.
Ooh.
And then I have a 10th grader and an 8th grader. So 2 more years and then 4 more years and we'll be done. But what's hard about that is I love them being at home so much. It's like, I'm like, come back. It used to be where, you could, get everybody really excited about, let's Play-Doh or let's, do Legos, or now they're just like, okay, come on, mom. I have to get way more creative with the teenagers, but yeah. So been a minute. So
yeah. So what is your industry about? Like, what do you do for the homeschool community?
Okay, so basically, what happened with me, I think my testimony is that I was one of those homeschoolers that I was filled with a lot of fear. And I
Mm,
was always wondering if was doing it right. And I was always worried I was going to mess up my kids. And I was always like, literally, I feel like it was something that I believed in my heart was the right thing to do. It actually, my husband started it, and I was just kind of went with him because as the leader of the house. And then I just really, really just fell in love with it. But I always had this nagging sense of, what if you're wrong? What if everything you're doing is actually just ruining them? And
wow.
but what's happening is, as the kids are getting older, and like I said, I have an adult son. I have two adult children. One's just getting ready to graduate, but I'm watching the people that they're becoming. And when we actually graduated my oldest, I remember just literally just standing there with the diploma in my hand and thinking, just tears streaming down my face. And I
Mm.
was just like, God, it works. Thank you for this, just the faith to do it. And I really just feel like it was just one of those, like other things in our lives where we walk by faith, and we're just taking the steps, and we're just kind of hoping that the next step will appear as we take it. But getting to the end of it and seeing it really was the right decision. And I just like, I know that I know that I know. So now I just want to just run up to every other young mom that I see that's just wondering, and nervous and afraid. And I just want to tell them, yes, you can do it. It works. It really does work. And I just want to be that voice that I feel like I wish that I had, the big sister that had been there and done that, just that friend that I could just sound, that they can sound off of me and say, what about this or what about that? Like, I just feel like I wish that I had that. And I feel like it would have helped me. So I want to be that to other moms.
I
So
love that.
kind of,
Yeah. Because your story right now, being vulnerable and raw with where you started, and I can guarantee so many moms out there either remember being there or are like, wow, I'm right there. Like, she gets me. She totally gets what I'm going through. And the fact that you overcame and you did it, and you stood there with your first child and you were like, I did it. Like, this works. This really does work. And that naggy voice is just that, the enemy always trying to lie to us and tell us that we
yeah,
can't do it. And it's so important that we do have a community and people around us to be like, yeah, I heard that voice too. It's a lie. Don't listen to it. It's like,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
not the truth. Be honest,
absolutely.
like I'm a public school teacher and I had the same exact voice, like
Hmm.
exact same thing
Yeah.
come to my mind where it's like, you're a fraud. Like, you really don't know how to teach. You don't, all these different things. And I feel like every single one of us has that imposter syndrome
Mm-hmm.
where, it comes on it. And that just has to do with the fact that our identity isn't fully rooted, right? Like, we have to
Mm-hmm.
know who we are, whose we are, what we're created to do, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
your mom, you are their mom, you are their educator, you are the educator at the moment that they came out of you and you brought them into the world, you and the Lord, it's like, in your husband, all together, you guys are there at that moment. You're their everything, right? Like, you really
Right,
are.
right.
Like, you're sustaining them, all that stuff, and you're teaching them little by little. And I think it's something parents don't realize. Like, you're teaching your kid every single day how to walk, how to talk, how to eat, how to, do all these different things. It's no different when you have a subject. Now, nobody gave you, when your kids were born, a manual. No one said, hey,
Right,
Tammy, here's a manual on how to raise your kids. No, you had to figure it out yourself,
right,
talk to
exactly.
people, get advice from other people. Same thing with education, right? Nobody gives you a manual. Even if they give you a manual, it's only going to work for one very specific child, not for the
Exactly.
billions of kids that are out there,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So you're still figuring it out.
Yeah.
Everything that we do, the biggest lie is that college prepares you. Oh man, does college not prepare you? It
Right,
doesn't.
right.
I don't care what anyone says. I
Yeah.
believe that college gives you, credibility to learn the preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I've even heard doctors say, no, I wasn't fully prepared until I got in the industry. And that
Yeah.
is 100% truth. The biggest facade is that college prepares you and that there's college preparedness. Like none of it prepares you. Like you
Yeah. Yeah.
literally have to experience it,
Yeah.
go through it because of everyone's individuality. And, it's one of those things. So it's like as we start growing and as you're going through your business and everything, you're learning and you're able to be there for other people, which I think is awesome. I think it's really awesome how you're doing all of it because you're just putting yourself out there. And I think that's something really powerful for other parents to hear and learn. Like, just do it. Like,
Yeah.
literally, just go ahead and do it. So, what actually inspired you to do the launching pad into this? Because you went from, can I even do this to like, I'm going to help you. Like, just what was that springboard?
Yeah, I am a big sister. I'm the biggest sister of 6 kids. So I
Wow.
think that's kind of naturally in me to just kind of mother hen things. And then again, the just going through the fears and realizing that the fears they're just there to intimidate, but if you just keep going, you can get to the other side of that. But like I said, I think I just wanted so much to be an encourager and to be there for other moms. And it became something that it's kind of funny how it works in my family. My husband will start something and he'll say, I think this is a good idea. So he said that with homeschool, I think homeschooling is a good idea. And I was like, okay. And then I'll do kindergarten because that's the kind of teacher I was,
Yeah.
and then he's like, no, do first grade. And I was like, I can't do first grade, and then we just kept going. And then he was the one that said, think outside the box. So then I started looking at all the other things. Well, once we graduated my oldest and I'm having just a little bit more time than I did when they were little, he was the one that was like, you always said something about blogging and just kind of, you know, because as the kids get older, they get more independent, so
Sure.
then they don't need me as much. So he's like, why don't you do that? And then, as a ministry. And so that's really been my heart is I want to just kind of share my story and share the different things that I learned that have helped me on my journey. And, I've also followed other people, but like you said earlier, I could never follow anyone to a T because to a T never fit anyone in my family. Even what I did for my oldest doesn't work for my second or my third or my fourth. There's always tweaking that goes on. But sometimes those examples of how other people do things can be that jumping off point to an explosion of idea for me. And so I think that in that my story can have value to somebody who has no idea where to start, because that's where I started, was I have no idea where to start. So yes, my heart is that I really want it to be a ministry. I want it to be a place where people can feel safe. I want it to be a place where if someone wants to email me and wants to themselves be vulnerable, to know that there's someone there that really just has a loving heart for moms. And I really just want to be an encourager to them, to
Yeah.
help them keep going.
Yeah. So on your blog, what are some things that people will be able to find? Like first off, what's your blog called? And what are some stories or topics that you cover that maybe your most recent?
Yeah. So it's Create a Homeschool Life. And the idea of Create a Homeschool Life, when I was thinking about a blog name, was I think of homeschooling. For a long time, I thought of homeschooling as just that, like schooling at home and all things about schooling at home. But what happened is, as you don't start this way, it's something that just kind of you evolve as the years go by, is you realize that homeschooling becomes life, and that it's not just those, math papers, it's not science experiments, it's not history books, but it's the conversations that you have. It's the heart to heart, the mind to mind, the spirit to spirit that you have with your kids on a daily basis. It really just becomes life. You can ebb and flow with whether there's, the good times or the tragic times. You live life and school becomes part of it. So create a homeschool life. What I wanted it to be was, a beginner's guide of sorts, but then also just how it incorporates with the rest of our lives and not school, 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 school. So I think in some ways I'm still working it out myself because I am a beginning blogger and I'm just kind of evolving my way with that as well. There's recently been I'm doing a lot of work with printables. I think that's kind of been some of my focus lately is I want it to be a resource. Right now, everything is free. So you're going to there's planning pages on there because, we moms love to plan. And then there's checklists and oh my goodness. I've even dabbled in some games and things like that for the holidays and stuff like that. But yeah, I want it to be something that I add to. My goal is monthly. So I want it to be something that people can come back to again and again and again. And it just be that, that treasure trove of resources that you can go to and without plunking down money, and I put up things that has either been fun in my family or I've used and have helped in my family. I really want to be things that are useful.
So Tammy, tell me, what is the games that you use or you've used in the past? Like, give us some examples.
Okay, so there's one game that I have on the site that I put on the site because it was a favorite of my kids. Even as teenagers, we started when they were teeny tiny. And even as teenagers, we play it every single year.
Wow.
And it's called Don't Eat Pete. And you've seen them all over the internet, that was like one of my first printables I ever made for the website. And I was so excited about it. And basically you put these little candies all over the squares and the person who's it leaves the room while the other people pick which one it is. There's like 9 squares there's like 9 squares on there. It's kind of like doggy, doggy, where's your bone? So when they come back in the room, they pick which one it is. And every time they go to grab one, they go to eat it. And once they pick the one that everybody else picked, we scream at them, don't eat Pete.
Oh,
and they think that's hilarious. So then that particular kid usually ends up, scared out of their mind. But it's one of those games that is really goofy. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have anything to do with math or science or history, but relational. The relational equity that you get from that game is everything. And it's just one that we come back to again and again and again. So I put it on the site really out of memories. Beautiful. And it's just one of the things that is on there.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So that's really important because I think a lot of times as parents, they don't know how to build those moments and they can get confused and be like, oh my gosh, how do I even build a moment? Like, how do I build that relational equity? And it's as simple as not having to have a game that, has any kind of like educational or academic, let's just say academic, because education is everything, right? Like we are always learning. It doesn't matter where we are, what we're doing, we are always learning, but maybe not academic. Maybe it's a time for, like you said, a relational equity. It's time for, us to be able to invest in our children and to show them, and how much better for a person who's done it to go before them and actually do that. So do you do anything else? Like, do you have other activities, maybe like activities of chores that they're able to learn from, activities of, I don't know, just plain old family fun, maybe going outdoors and things of that sort?
Yeah, so I'm working on the chore one next. That's going to go up on the website probably in the next month or so. One of the things that's actually been hardest for me is delegating, and it's something that it is a weakness for me, but it's one of those things that I am learning that the more that I can't do everything, and not only can I not do everything, it's a disservice to them not to teach them to do some things. So while
100%.
while they do basics, I know that they need to do more. And so yes, that's another great learning thing. Everybody participating, everybody carrying the household, because it's not just mom and then mom's not the slave taking care of everybody.
That's right.
It's a family affair. Yeah.
That's really good because I think a lot of parents, I've watched a lot of my friends do it. Sorry guys if you're listening to this, but a lot of my friends, yeah, I'll watch them and I'm thinking, yeah, that's a huge disservice you're doing right there by doing everything for your kid because now whoever is dating them or, marries them, one or two things is going to happen. That kid believes that they have to do everything, right? As they get old,
Yeah.
because they're going to model what mom or dad did. So they feel like they have to do everything. Or two, everything has to be done for them.
Yeah.
And both of those things are unhealthy,
Yeah.
right? Like they're both quite unhealthy. So it's like teaching, children healthy habits, healthy ways of growing is really important. And I love that you have a blog and you're being vulnerable and you're literally putting it out there because I know that there's going to be a lot of moms out there who are going to need to just be like, "Oh, okay, gosh, Tammy's right. All right. I have to do this as well." And they're going to be actually walking the journey with you. You're going to see a lot of people walking with you. Have you heard that? Have you gotten any emails where the people are actually talking to you and saying, I'm walking this out with you?
One is actually my sister.
That's awesome.
And it's funny because I have four and we all homeschool differently. And it's probably going to start adding them in and getting their stories in as well. So yeah.
That's another way of delegating, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and not doing everything on your, that's something I'm still learning too. Like, my husband and I, we're leaders in our church and we have a lot of things that we do. And even this, like me for the podcast, delegating a lot of this up to my assistant. It is hard because your heart, what it is that should be done. And, something might not be done the way you want it to. And then that's okay. Like, and I've had to learn, like, it's fine if it's not done the way I want it to be done. It's going to be done the way it's supposed to be done by the person that I trusted to put in that role. So it's
Right.
like it's such a big trust issue. And I think we're all growing in different areas of our life where we just, yeah, we just put it out there and we allow people to grow. And that's really what this is all about. So that's so awesome. So where can people find you? What is your website called and your blog
It's
site?
Yeah, it's createahomeschoollife.com. That it's a website and blog. And if they sign up to the resource page, then I will email them monthly with the next one, or they can just bookmark it and come back. But either
Oh, that's
way,
awesome.
so yeah.
That's fantastic. So as we're wrapping up this conversation, what is one big takeaway you want to leave with parents?
I think the biggest takeaway is that just that homeschooling work. And I really believe that of all the things that I've done in my life, it's the one thing that I just feel like I got right.
Oh,
And I worried too much all along the way. And I wish that I didn't. And I just want so much to help other people not to do that. I love everything about homeschooling. Obviously, yes, there's bad days, there's a lot of work, there's times when they lost their temper, I lost my temper. But the truth of the matter is we grow with our kids. Our kids literally just watch us grow up. That's the truth. We're
wow.
kids ourselves when we have kids, and they have to watch us grow up. But I think just leaning on the Lord and just really trusting Him and knowing that He has my best interest at heart and that He loves my kids more than I love my kids. And that if I'm just willing to really just surrender and to submit to His will and His plan and really live that life of sacrifice, everybody wins. Everybody wins. The kids win and mom wins. And you'll see that on my blog a lot. A lot of times when I'm blogging, I'll say something and I'll be like, it's a win-win. Moms win and kids win. And that's really just my heart, is that I want other moms to feel what I feel now. And that is, I'm just so happy that I kept going. I'm so happy that I didn't give in to the fears and put them in school. While that may be right for other people, I know that that wasn't right for us. And what we did was, and that's just my heart. I just want to say, go, 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 go. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I actually don't think it's I'm gonna say something so bold right now that people are gonna be like, did you just say that? And I'm gonna say it. I don't think public school is for anybody. I'm gonna be really honest. I don't think public education, the way it is right now and what it's teaching, I don't think it's for anybody. I think it's a really dark place. And I think it's about time that parents who have any type of little inkling, which I think
Mm,
all of them do, especially the day you walk them into kindergarten where you question, did I do the right thing? Did I put them in the right place? I'm going to tell you no, take them out and do it. Like do whatever you have to, even if it's go down to one income and or work at night, do whatever it takes. Like
yeah.
because what the public school system, and I'm in it for 22 years, I'm in it. What they're teaching, you don't want your child growing up in. I mean,
Wow.
I grew up in the 80s. I started school in the 70s, right? Like 79, I started school. And I'll tell you, I graduated high school disrespecting my mom, not liking the United States, not liking myself, just being a bully, being bullied. It's not for anybody. Just going to tell you, it's
Wow.
not for anybody. So I think what you're doing is amazing. I'm proud of you for just plowing forward, even when you weren't sure about it. And I pray to God that a lot of women just start reading your blog and start, going on this journey with you, because to me, you're a champion. And I'm so thankful that so many of you just said, I'm doing this. I don't care what, I'm doing it. So
Wow. Thanks, Bex. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
absolutely. It's been great having you on the podcast today. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
If you love the conversations we're having here on the Homeschool Advantage podcast, follow or subscribe our podcast to stay in the loop and never miss this amazing content. And please highly consider taking a minute to leave a positive rating and review to help others like you discover this show. See you next time.